Hello everyone, I'm Sen, and you're listening to this podcast. Today is a cool Saigon afternoon with a gentle breeze, and the person recording right now feels normal, peaceful, and quite comfortable, everyone. Lately, I've been exercising more diligently. The goal is still to have better physical stamina, to keep my body active more regularly, so I can have good health. After all, good health is incredibly important for me to focus on work and to fully enjoy life. Physical and mental well-being are two crucial things I always want to nurture every day. And I hope your life is also very gentle and peaceful. Brew a cup of tea and sip it with me on today's podcast, okay? I don't know what today's topic is yet, but for some reason, the two words love popped into my head. Maybe today I want to share something about love with you all. Sen doesn't know either, but normally she'd be very shy about talking about love, you know? After all, I'm just a young girl who doesn't necessarily understand everything in this life. First, I'll find a song to sing for you. For those who regularly listen to my podcast, what kind of music do you usually like? I love gentle ballads, but sometimes I also like something a bit more upbeat. I enjoy many different genres of music, and today, I hope you'll like this song. I think you will asterisk like it. It's a love song. This is a song I think I sang back in 2016, 2017 when I was a student, you know. Back then, I used to play the piano and sing a lot. Less so now, but lately, I've seen you guys say you like hearing me sing, so sometimes I'll share a song with you. It might not be perfect, but it's full of the feelings I have for you. And this is the song Chiều Vắng Em, An Evening Without You. Lost in forgetting myself, yet love remains in longing, waiting for you all these days. Searching in moments I don't remember the dreams left behind. This sad evening, mists fall incessantly, my heart still lingers. When you leave, will tomorrow's joy be gone like a fleeting fairy? I don't wish for years to pass in haste. If we're together someday, we'll choose sorrow. Is it the sound of love that still begins? Knowing we'll be far apart someday, knowing long nights will pass, don't forget my love. So this is a love song that I truly adore. I've known it for a very long time, since I was a student. Back then, I used to sing this song when I had a broken heart, you know. It's been a long time since I've known what a broken heart feels like. Life has been quite peaceful. But I understand that many of you, with your own love stories, might also be carrying many thoughts and feelings, aren't you? Perhaps that's why I'm here today, to listen and share with you all. I find the lyrics in this song truly beautiful. Although it's not very long, every single line makes me ponder a little. The evening descends, mist lingering, stirring my heart, trees standing bewildered as he leaves forever, swiftly like a colorless, shimmering ray of sunlight, years passing quickly. What is this thing called love that couples vow to live and die for? As a 9X generation myself, I've seen the love of older generations, 8X, 7X, experienced 9X love, and also observed and understood the love of Gen Z, and there are some distinct differences. Honestly, there are many differences, everyone. Many times when you watch my videos on my YouTube channel, Sen Nguyen Zan, I always tell you, when you're young, just love. Follow your heart, love with all your being, love foolishly, love innocently. Because as we grow older and more mature, those feelings won't be there anymore. Later, when we grow up, we're no longer naive or innocent. We don't blindly rush into love. Perhaps we have to use more reason. Maybe we no longer choose the person we love the most, but rather the person who is most suitable. And I wonder if you also feel that love is truly strange. Many young people, only teenagers, I know some of you listening to this podcast haven't even entered a real relationship yet, and you're curious. So today, we'll share about the differences between young love and adult love. I'm really happy that this podcast has listeners of all ages. There are teenagers, but also parents in their 30s, 40s, or even older, listening to this podcast. So, it's nice that we can all recall old memories together and look towards the future together. First, let's talk about young love, the love of teenagers experiencing their first heartbeats, full of innocence, purity, and dreams. I remember when I was in 4th grade, I liked a boy simply because he had a charming dimple and a truly beautiful smile. Plus, he was also part of the school's performing arts group. When I saw him on stage, dancing and smiling so brightly, my heart suddenly fluttered, you know. But I didn't do anything. I didn't send love letters or anything. I just admired him from afar, and those feelings faded quickly. Then, in 6th grade, I received my first confession. Back then, we confessed our feelings with love letters, everyone. What I regret for Gen Z nowadays is that when you're in school, you already have phones, iPhones, and all that fancy stuff. But when I was in middle school, we only had brick phones, like the Nokia. Some kids got phones early to text, but I didn't get one until high school, maybe 11th or 12th grade. So in middle school, all we could do to communicate was meet in person, send letters, or use landlines. I don't know why, but when I recall those old memories, I feel a strange joy. Because life back then was so different from now, incredibly different, and suddenly, I really appreciate that difference. I really liked the difficulty of communicating when we were in love as kids. At that time, I was the class monitor. I once heard someone say that no one would love a girl who was a class monitor. But the truth proved that completely wrong. Right when I entered 6th grade, someone confessed to me, and that person was also a class monitor from another class in the same grade at my school. However, that relationship didn't go anywhere, because back then we were still just kids. All I remember about that person is that they made me a pink notebook and gave me a pink bear because I loved pink. They knew that. They gave me gifts, which I found quite sweet, actually. Because at that age, how did they even get money to be so gallant with a girl? They even wrote a handwritten letter to confess. It was incredibly, incredibly cute. But they didn't hand it to me directly, because that would have been too shy. So they asked someone else to give it to me. Even now, thinking back, it's still very endearing. Love back then was tough. It wasn't like now, where you can just go online and DM someone on Instagram to get to know them. It wasn't until high school that I really experienced true heart-fluttering emotions. I've often said that my first love was at 19 when I was in university, but the very first time I truly felt deeply moved by someone was in high school. Everyone. I don't remember much about that person anymore, perhaps too much time has passed, but I only recall that back then I really liked him. He was a year or two older than me, and he treated me like a little sister. Yes, exactly, like a rainy day little sister. After that, he fell in love with someone else. But what I felt back then was incredibly innocent. All we thought about love was simply spending time together. Maybe texting, maybe writing letters to each other, maybe calling in the evening and playing music and singing for each other. If we were lucky, during recess or breaks at school, we might meet up to chat a little or exchange gifts. That was our love back when we were in school. It was truly very pure. I don't know about others, but for me, it was incredibly innocent. We didn't even hold hands, we were so shy. When I entered university, I finally entered a real relationship, which I consider my unforgettable first love. Although it didn't last as long as I wished, I had always hoped to love one person as my first love and marry them. It's clear that dreams are just dreams. When we step out into life, we learn it's quite harsh and not that easy. Even though that dream didn't come true, I still had a very beautiful first love. For me, the love during my university years was very naive, and yet it had enough maturity for me to truly understand and navigate love more clearly. Because I believe that in middle school or high school, I hadn't truly understood or truly loved someone. It might have just been a crush or a fleeting liking. It was only when I went to university and actually entered a relationship that it became the beginning of a real connection. And that's when I truly became more aware of what love is. I think it's wonderful if university love lasts until later and leads to marriage, because back then, when we dated, everything was so innocent and pure. It was like, I have nothing, you have nothing, but we'll strive together, we'll try together. And when we were penny pinching for every date together, it was so different from life after we became more financially stable. Personally, I still prefer the kind of relationship where we overcome difficulties together, then build everything together, and then get married. But it seems that's just a dream. People often leave each other in difficult circumstances because they don't dare to take the next step. And I've realized one thing: when we haven't developed ourselves enough, when we're too young, have nothing poor, foolish, and dreamy, that's a destructive combo for any relationship. We demand perfection from our partner, while we ourselves lack understanding. And so, we just lose each other. At that point, love is no longer just about two people dating. It becomes the foundation of a new family. And that's when adult love begins. I think even now, for me, loving someone who has nothing is almost impossible. Because my life is very different now. I'm no longer the innocent, naive university student I was 10 years ago. And love now is completely different from love during university, let alone teenage years. As people get older, they become more selective about who they love because they've spent time developing themselves, increasing their self-worth. So they want to meet someone who matches that value. They definitely won't even look at anyone below that value. And precisely because you have to consider alignment in values, in thoughts, in lifestyle, all these things make adult love much more difficult. But it's still necessary. When we're young, we date without much thought because we don't need to worry about the future or think much about life, let alone responsibilities. We don't even know what we'll do or eat today, let alone who we'll be, who we'll marry, or how we'll argue in a few years. But when we're approaching 30, the age when we're preparing to start a family or are responsible for ourselves, everything changes significantly. There's no longer the innocence and carefree attitude of the past. Now, choosing a life partner becomes much more difficult. We no longer just look for a girlfriend or boyfriend. That's easy. But finding the one asterisk, someone who can walk with us for a long time, possibly for the rest of our lives, that's hard. So it requires us to calculate and think much more. Just recently, a follower of mine asked me on Instagram, "Sister, would you choose a poor man or a rich man?" To be honest, that's a very naive question. Of course, no one would choose a poor man if they have the option of a rich one. For you all, if you have a choice, there's no reason to choose a poor man, and I'm sharing this honestly. Life now is no longer just about the romantic notion that love can conquer all, that love can overcome everything. I myself value love very much. But what I value even more is independence and personal growth. If two people are complete, make an effort, respect each other, and build together, then that love can last long. But if it's just pure love, deeply in love, but both don't share the same views on life, the same efforts, or the same vision for the future, then everything ahead seems very hazy. Perhaps when we were young in our teenage years, we only thought about love like, how should we flirt? Where should we meet? What gift should I get my crush? But later, closer to my age, we think much more deeply than that. Is this person's personality suitable to be a father? Are this girl's habits suitable to be a mother? Is this person right to spend the rest of my life with? Is their financial situation compatible with mine? What about their life views, family background, personal health? So many things, you know. Perhaps this is why, at some point, people often choose the person who is most suitable for them, not necessarily the one they are most attracted to or love the most. Do these things make adult love dull? I don't think so. It's just that at different ages, we have different responsibilities, and those responsibilities make us love less instinctively and more rationally, making us think more about the future. Because at that point, they no longer live only for themselves. They live for each other, for us, for their family, and for the future. It's this sense of responsibility that makes adult love more logical and calculated. But to me, these are necessary calculations for life to be harmonious. We can't keep being naive and dreamy like when we were young, loving anyone we meet just because he's handsome or she's beautiful. We have to look more deeply at a person's character and the compatibility between two people. That's essential. But that's also why I think that when you're young, you should experience love. Go with your heart's desires. Don't be afraid to say, "I love you" to someone. Don't be afraid to start a relationship. Because at some point, when you're older or when you feel more responsible towards family and everything else, those romantic flutters will diminish. Perhaps the most wholehearted and passionate love is when people love without calculating anything. But that can only happen when we are free from many responsibilities to anyone. However, most of us are young people born into families. We grow up, find jobs, become valuable individuals in life, so we still have responsibilities. If it were me, I couldn't just abandon everything to follow the person I love, you know. I have family, parents, siblings, friends. There's no such thing as recklessly following love. That's not possible. But if we're young, that can absolutely happen. Yes, it's completely possible to run after love without worrying about anything. Each person can love many people in their life, one person while in school, another after graduating, and then another when they get married. No one is born to be faithful to one person forever, and no love is always perfect. Sen believes that if two people can walk side by side and grow together, that's what's truly essential. Sen has shared before that growing through relationships, the people I've loved have taught me many things, especially how to cherish myself and how to truly love someone. Through each relationship, I've grown and matured to become the person I am today, knowing how to love someone more completely. And I believe that whether we have young love or adult love, we should learn from love itself, learn from the person opposite us, cherish the relationship, and grow together. Whether in youth or adulthood, we will continue to walk together. Perhaps that path won't last forever, but nevertheless, we are walking this journey together. And the important thing is mutual growth. Sen thinks this is perhaps the common ground between young love and adult love. There are even some relationships that last from the blossoming of youth through adulthood and old age. They stay together from then until now. That seems like an incredibly wonderful love, having gone through so many ups and downs, so many stages, and still holding on to each other in life. Sen greatly admires such relationships. Personally, I've come to understand that the most important thing to love and be loved is to cherish yourself and cherish the person opposite you. Only with mutual respect can you stay together for a long time. At any age, we truly need respect. If we recognize unchangeable differences, we can also cherish them and say goodbye to move on to another relationship, to another person. Young love or adult love will always teach us lessons to complete ourselves. Ultimately, on this journey we're on, everyone we meet is meant to be met, and everything that happens is meant to happen. So, just love. Even if you love wrongly, it's still one of life's flavors, bitter, sweet, necessary to truly discover yourself in this life. Today, I just wanted to share a little bit with you all, sing you a gentle love song, and talk about dating in the modern age. Sen isn't searching for anything or longing for anything. I'm enjoying this life, regardless of who is by my side, whether they leave or someone new enters my life. I believe the most important thing is to continue improving myself, to learn how to love someone more completely, to learn how to understand others, especially the one I love. I think love helps us grow so much. It's not a game, a joke, or a challenge against each other. True love helps people overcome many things and grow into more mature adults. And Sen truly hopes you all have meaningful loves in your lives. Thank you for listening to today's podcast. I'll see you in future episodes.